Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, Jens Davidson here again. So we're down in the basement working on what else? An antique restoration. So the co-worker of mine, who sort of used to be into blacksmithing and metalworking until he suddenly kind of got tennis elbow from it and put it down. He had acquired this thing like 10, 15 years ago and planned on restoring it, but never got around to it. It was all seized up, and he basically just left it in his garage attic for who knows how long. And obviously, I've been speaking a lot with him about blacksmithing and metalworking and all that good stuff. He's the machinist at our work, so metalworking is frankly his job. But with all of that, he asked me if I wanted a hand crank post drill, and for free. And yeah, who would pass that up? This thing is absolutely gorgeous. I got it sight unseen. He brought it to work, and it was fully assembled and fully seized up. And I didn't bother video recording the disassembly process, which literally just ended about 5 minutes ago, because there's 1.5 million YouTube videos of people disassembling old, you know, cruddy antiques. Um, but just to kind of bring you along on what was involved in that, uh, probably the two most helpful tools, not probably, definitely the two most helpful tools in the entire disassembly process was propane torch and PB blaster, in that order. Something is stuck. Let's say this shaft, when that was stuck, I didn't heat up the shaft because then the shaft would expand and make it even tighter. I heated up what the shaft is sitting in, this cast iron boss here, heated that up until it was good and hot, and then sprayed the joints as best I could with PB Blaster, because when it's hotter, it has a much, much lower viscosity, and PB Blaster does a pretty good job of penetrating with capillary action at room temperature, but all the more so when things are hot. So works much, much better when it's warmed up. And so by heating it up, getting some PB Blaster in there, in a couple cases I had to wait overnight just to make sure things were plenty soaked. It started breaking free. And really all it took was patience and care not to break anything. There was only one instance where I had to use a pulley puller that I actually borrowed from work from the machinist that gave me this thing. And yeah, it came apart frankly pretty well. It was not nearly as bad as I was expecting, with this thing having been seized and stuck up in this guy's garage attic for over a decade. But anyhow, I'll go ahead and bring you guys along on the rest of the project, which will involve cleaning all of this stuff in a bin, a tote, using Simple Green. I have a gallon jug of it upstairs that I bought expressly for the purpose of restoring antiques. I have a fully functional post drill upstairs that I would frankly like to eventually clean up and repaint and everything. Now I have two. And then I also have my Blacksmith leg vise that I would like to disassemble, scrub clean, and paint and put back to use. Again, it's fully functional as is, but I would like things to, be cleaned and taken care of. So I'll bring you guys along on that process. It'll all just be done here in my basement, where I don't have to worry about any cold or running the garage heater, etc. And yeah, we'll scrub things up, clean them. There'll be some grinding to be done on this thing in order to make it a little bit prettier. Areas like, I'm not sure how well the lighting's going to work out, but right here, there's just a real rough spot from the casting that was left over. And basically the same thing here, where the two halves of the cast were split. So stuff like that I'll clean up with a grinder just to put a little extra care into the thing. There's some major casting flaws in the flywheel, like that guy right there. Can't really do anything about that, so I'll just fill it in with an epoxy and sand the thing smooth and then prime it, paint it. And also right here, I noticed that when I was disassembling it, this spoke is cracked, and it's really a hairline crack, but it looks like at some point in time somebody ground that away, almost certainly with the intent of brazing that in to fix it. I'll probably go ahead and do that. It's not much of a crack and it's not a stress point, so it's not entirely necessary, but I'll probably go ahead and due diligence braze that in. But yeah, otherwise, as far as fitment of parts and wear, um, I am not under the impression that this thing was under a lot of use, because the tolerances, the shaft fitment between a shaft and its mating hole, frankly, they're pretty tight. I'm very happy with the overall condition of this thing, aside from just being dirty right now. And what may be obvious to you is where's the rest of it. There should be, a stand. Every drill press needs a stand for your work to sit on while you drill into it. That's upstairs. I didn't take that apart because frankly that's kind of a no-brainer. That's it's not really that stuck. But that'll be part of it too. There are a couple parts missing from this thing. It does not have an actual crank lever. So this is a cap that will support the crank lever. As you can tell, it's a rectangular shaft, just like the one that I already have upstairs in my garage. I'm going to forge one and put a handle on there and everything. And then the other part that's missing is the automatic indexing system. So looking at the flywheel here, look carefully at that center hole and you can see that this thing is out of round. It's, there's a lobe. It's eccentric, and the purpose of that is to act as the automatic depth feed, if you will. So every revolution you make, it automatically feeds a ratcheting mechanism on this crank up here. That crank fits through this threaded shaft and into these bits here, and this will push on the drill shaft here to, again, every revolution you make, it'll automatically feed it one tooth on this thing, and you can take the number of teeth on this thing, and that's how many teeth you have in that whole radius, and then do the math and calculate the thread pitch, and you can figure out the depth of feed with every revolution. There's some adjustability where you can go either one tooth at a time or two teeth at a time. But anyhow, again, as you're cranking it along, the point is this thing will automatically feed the drill at a fixed rate into your workpiece, so that the relationship between drill bit RPM and drill bit feed, downward force, is it's always matched, and it's very good for steel. You have a typical drill press, which I have in my other room, my basement, the woodworking area. With that thing, any drill press, you have way more RPM than you have feed rate, because you just can't pull that lever hard enough, and with smaller bits you're frankly probably going to break them. But that's fine for wood, but for steel it's optimal to have a slower drill bit speed and feed rate of the material. The harder it is, the slower you want to turn. The softer it is, like brass, you can feed that much more quickly. But again, the point is, these things are optimized for drilling through steel, because they originally had their home in blacksmith shops. As far as what brand this thing is, I don't know. I've looked at the casting. Yes, it does have some crud on there, so I might be able to find some identity once I scrub things away. But my hand crank post drill upstairs in my garage, on that one, it's blatantly obvious. The casting letters are raised significantly, so even though it's dirty, I can still tell that the one upstairs is a Buffalo. But this one, I don't know. I can't tell. I've heard that there have been cases of post drills that when they originally left a storefront, they were simply branded with a sticker, and obviously the sticker is not going to hold up. So it's hard to tell. I'll have to do some research and see if I can find something on it, but the Buffalo post drill that I have upstairs has straight spokes. This one has curved ones. I've seen Champion drills that have these more ornate spokes, so maybe that's a hint that it's a Champion. That would be cool. It seems from what I know, Buffalo and Champion were like two major competitors for blacksmith supplies and tools. Namely, you see that a lot in hand crank forge blowers. I currently have a Champion number 40 or Type 40. You guys will see that, or you already have seen that. I've done videos with that before. But anyhow, so we'll get this thing cleaned up. I'll catch back with you. I'm going to go ahead and post this video as is. I'm not going to edit it. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up of yet another project that I am working on, because clearly I don't have enough projects. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you liked it. Please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe, and we'll get to see the rest of this thing come back to life. Bye now.